We're live. All right, it's on.
What's up?
What's up?
Hey, Freeze.
It is so good to be here with you. I am pumped up.
Me too.
I really, truly am. I just made some coffee. Time to press it, baby.
I got you some flowers to say happy
Oh,
podcast time.
thank you so much.
You probably can't reach them from
Maybe I
there,
could.
but
I wish I could.
yeah, you didn't really try very hard.
I don't have. I don't have any flowers, in my bedroom. So, where I am, I'm in my bedroom.
That's okay.
Where are you?
I'm actually at my parents' house. Today is my sister's birthday, and so we all came here for dinner.
Dude, what?
Yeah.
Are you spending the night there?
Sweet. I am.
Whoa.
Yeah, they have this groovy studio room here, so.
Is Isaac there?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Isaac is Ella's husband.
Yeah.
We should just talk about him for forever.
We should just talk about him for hours, honestly. He's adorable.
He is adorable, and I actually.
And you knew him before I did.
I knew him before you. I was just about to say that, and I'd never thought about that before, but.
And you knew me before. You knew both of us before we knew each other.
I had heard about Isaac, and then I was at Live on the Green downtown, and I was on the front row, and somebody said, "There's Isaac." I turned around, and I just saw this shorter, like probably taller than me, chiseled man. He's just listening to somebody talk. He's just nodding. He was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "That guy looks dope," and he is dope, and you're dope. Ella Mine in the house, who just released her debut album. What? Yesterday? 2 days ago? What's
Friday?
Today?
Today's Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, it came out Thursday night.
That was cool. I was at the studio. Ella invited a few of us to socially distantly listen to the album in the studio where y'all recorded it.
Yeah, the Art House Nashville.
Yeah, which is honestly a great place to start. I mean, when I say Art House, I'm ready to talk about the whole story. I want to hear about everything. Because Art House started by Charlie Peacock, a guy who we both have been mentored by. Mm-hmm. It's where I recorded Cosmic House. It's being recorded anymore, so it's a special place.
Pretty special, yeah.
Even more special for you. I think you grew up going there. Yes, is that true?
Well, my parents moved to Nashville because of Charlie Peacock. And so my dad was the first person ever to live in the Art House. Like, it wasn't ever lived in before. He lived there, and he was like doing songwriting work for Charlie. And then my parents got married there.
Oh my goodness.
So that's
special. I had no idea. Wow.
It's also like where I would go every couple years while I was growing up. Charlie would be like, hey, Ella, would you like to come sit down at my piano? And which was just like an amazing thing. He'd like sit there and be like, now try a different exercise with your brain at the piano. Like, it was really, he was a great sort of, like, always sort of present in my life, and like always offering just every so often this like space that was amazing. So cool.
Wow.
So
that sounds like Charlie. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. To get to do this record there was really special. Yeah.
So your parents got married there.
Yeah.
And
so
your dad
sweet.
used to live there. That is incredible. Man, I had no idea. Wow. So this is crazy. So Charlie Peacock, for those who don't know, how can we best describe him? He is just a dude who has worked his whole life just making music and creating like spaces, and just, I don't know, like I don't even know where to start with him because he's so talented. I think about like the improv jazz Charlie Peacock. I think about one of my favorite albums made by Charlie Peacock, our professor, No Man's Land.
Oh yeah,
which is a more recent one he made, and just one of the most amazing, I would say, Americana records in the true sense of the word. Like I feel like it scopes across all forms of like American music
Yeah.
and talks about his childhood, and it's just immersive. And I feel like that album is a flex that he made after working with the Civil Wars,
Hmm.
which was his Grammy-winning project. And before that, he had a whole Christian music career
Yeah.
that you probably know way more about than I do.
I don't know, man.
Isn't
I
is
know
your
that like in that he was kind of one of the revolutionaries in making really artful artful faith-centered music. Um,
hmm,
and, you know, yeah.
how
Like
so? Go ahead.
yeah. Well, he's like he's one of the people at this like turn in time. This is my understanding. I wasn't there, but um of of he was one of the voices saying one if like if you subscribe to a certain religion in the case in Nashville mainly it's Christianity, like you don't have to one, you don't have to be making Christian music if you're a musician.
Wow.
Like, you can just make good art. And then two, if you are like singing about your faith, then you should still use your talents like in the most creative ways that you can and make the best
Yeah.
stuff you can, regardless of what
Wow.
people think it's supposed to be.
Wow.
So
That is so cool.
yeah, he was going against the grain a lot, I think.
I know I have a book by him called At the Crossroads. I haven't finished it. I think is a lot about
I
that.
I haven't read it.
You should
You're
read
reading it
it.
though. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. That's
That's
cool.
cool.
So how just to kind of take things back to the beginning of I guess your story and your family, and I'm just curious, how did your dad meet Charlie, or like what convinced your family, how did he convince your family to move to a new
I
city?
don't
I don't really
know.
understand all this. You
I
don't
don't
know?
know. Honestly, I don't know how. I think it was one of those things where like Charlie was one of those names where it was like, okay, if he asks you to do something, you just kind of do that. I did. I did that.
Yeah, yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
gonna go to school. I wasn't gonna stay in Nashville for school. And then Charlie was like, "Hey, I would like you to join this program that I'm starting." And it was like,
Wow.
well, forget my plans. You just
Yeah,
can't say no to him. I mean, obviously you can, but it's hard. It's
yeah.
hard to say no to him, I
Right, you're
think.
right. It's not
So
even like he forces you to do anything. He's just that you just want to be a part of the story. When yeah, I was the same way. So I went to Lipscomb. That's my whole story. My granddad
mhm.
worked there, my dad worked there, so I grew up going there. Uh, when I came to interview with the university, uh, Sally Reed set me down, and she was like, "So, what do you want to do with your life?" And I was like, "I want to be the next Brian Wilson." And there's this guy with glasses sitting in there in the corner, and she's like, "Well, I think Charlie might be able to help you with that." And Charlie's like, "I'm very interested in how we can combine your classical interests with contemporary music with this new program I'm starting called the Contemporary Music Program." And I didn't know who he was. And she's like, "This is Charlie Peacock." I was like, what? I was like, "That's the craziest name I've ever heard."
Yeah.
I'm Nordista Freeze. So I liked him already. And I stumbled in and I met you freshman year. We were the first
Mhm.
class of this contemporary music program. I met you day one. I still remember the classroom. It was the only time we met in
Yeah.
that classroom. And I remember seeing you and thinking, this person is so cool. I want to meet this person. And he immediately was like, "We're doing a project. You four go do something." And we walked out of the classroom when we met. And I feel like we've just been friends ever since. Like I've
Yeah.
instantly just thought you were the coolest person, and I've only just thought that more and more over time.
Well,
And
same.
yeah, and
Same for
I'm just
sure.
so glad to be talking to you. So what I don't know a lot about how you got involved with music and your story leading up to college. I know a little bit about your training. I know that you have studied piano for a long time, but was there anything else like growing up? Like I know your dad is so creative. I've read his book. I know he's got a lot of creativity. I'd love to hear more about that. Just like high school,
Yeah.
and even before that, even like just growing up.
Okay, while you were just talking though, it reminded me, I'll tell you, I'll answer that question, but when you called like an hour ago or something, I don't think I guess you haven't called me in a long time, because I had totally forgot that your picture on my phone is not when you call, it's not a picture of you, it's a picture of Yellow Wolf, and it looks like you. Call me. Can you call me right now and I'll show you? This is the funniest thing. I just didn't want to forget, because I wanted to show this to you. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yellow Wolf, is that like a rapper?
I don't know if that really. Anyway, yeah, that's it.
Wait. Let's see that again.
You have to call it. Sorry.
I think I pulled this off.
Yeah. Oh, shoot.
You just rejected my call.
I'm sorry. One more time. Oh, that's it. That is so funny.
Wow, that's crazy. Who is Yellow Wolf? Why is that my picture? You just think I look like this dude?
No, you don't. He doesn't normally look like you. I was at the eye doctor one time, and this guy walks in, and he was like, they were asking for his information, and he was like so hesitant. He was like looking around the room and like not wanting to give them his information when other people were around. So then I was like, who is this? So I looked up his name, and it was him. And yeah, he's just a musician.
He was nervous, and then you were like, oh,
yeah, he was
cool.
nervous that I did exactly what he was nervous of people doing. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted you to see that.
He has no reason to be insecure. Everybody goes to the dentist. Everybody goes to the eye doctor. We're all trying to stay in good health, you know. Well, that's cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, well, so then now I'll tell you.
Tell me everything.
Well, so my dad was in songwriting, mainly because of Charlie Peacock, I think, and
wow.
And so when I was growing up, I remember like all the time there would be songwriters over for co-writes, and my sisters and I have two sisters. We would like make snacks for them and stuff and like bring them snacks while they were writing. And I remember lots of times like when I was going to bed, like falling asleep, I would hear songs being created in like the next room over, and that's pretty special, you know. It was cool for there to like things were being made always in my house growing up. And then I studied at Vanderbilt's pre-college program starting in like 7th grade, all through high school. I know, it was crazy. Wow. It was amazing. It was like it was a totally different environment than anything else that I've ever experienced, because it was so academic. I mean, it was like definitely the most academic kind of milieu that I've ever been a part of, and really special, like just to get to learn like all the college level, like take the college classes, but with other high schoolers. That was pretty fun. And it was awesome. And
that's
then
incredible.
Lipscomb after that.
So so you were in a creative environment growing up. When you were in 7th grade, is that when you first started playing at all? That's when you started playing the keys?
Oh no, I started playing piano. I wanted to start when I was like 2, and my parents said that you can't take lessons until you can read. And so I was like, well, I have to learn to read. And so then as soon as I could read words, I was allowed to learn piano.
Wow.
So like mostly my whole life. Yeah.
I'm glad that didn't deter you. That would have been terrible if you had never learned piano, because you were just like, I don't know how to read.
You know, like when somebody says, well, you can't do it yet. Not until later. Then you're like, I'm going to do it. Or that worked.
So when did you learn to read?
When did you start? I don't know when you learned. When did you start playing?
Oh, I
music?
started playing guitar in like 8th grade. Um, I was already making records though. I started making
You
like
have made more records than anybody else that I know.
I appreciate you saying that. I definitely was pretty prolific. I'm trying to get back to it. I feel like my recent career I haven't been as prolific with like releasing stuff. I just have gotten more nervous, but I love to create and yeah, that's true. I was making music like just with my voice before then, so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like my first album was just a cappella, I guess, and like noises and I think I had like a keyboard. I didn't know what chords were yet. I, I'm
That's great.
thank you. Uh, I remember you telling me before that yeah, the Vanderbilt program was really intense and that you had to practice a lot, like a
Yeah.
really heavy. I mean, I think you said hours and hours every day, right?
Yeah.
How much? How long do you think? Did you have like a daily
I
routine?
mean, I probably averaged 2 hours a day, but I was on the very low end. Like that was not respectable at all. I'm talking
Wow.
like the kids around me were like, I mean, probably 6. I know there were some people who were like 8 hours a day, and I don't understand. Are you like doing other things too? Because 8 hours is like most of the day to
That's
me.
most of your
I don't
day. I mean,
know.
if you're
Yeah.
asleep, you have to sleep for
Yeah.
about eight
There's
hours, I would say, or
yeah.
hopefully at least six.
Hopefully.
Um, and then with
Yeah.
eating and other just general things in life, drinking water, using the bathroom, like that's already
Yeah.
taking a few more minutes. I mean, we're running
And
out
then
of
there's
time.
like
And
school. I don't yeah.
yeah, school is like 7 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What on earth? That's crazy. So, wow. So that must have been, was that encouraging? Was that, because growing up in a really like creative household, but then you're put on this rigorous work schedule for music. Is that something that was inspiring or was it like, I just want to create, you know?
I I very rarely felt in like during practice time, I rarely felt like it was just practice time.
Wow.
I
No
like
way.
I was always playing. I think to a fault. I think there's a lot that I would neglect to focus on as much as I should have because I just love playing and like,
Yeah,
and
that's cool. That's cool.
so it never felt like too much. And I honestly I like didn't have the pressure. I didn't have the familial pressure that the people around me did to
Yeah,
like put in more hours than that. Um, so it never became like you have to do this.
yeah.
It was just fun.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
so cool. I feel like I've never experienced that high before. I used,
Mm,
you know, I play the keys okay. I play the guitar okay. I use them for songwriting. I've always dreamed of feeling that feeling. Is it, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like I just don't feel like I'm there. I don't feel
Hmm.
fluent in the language of anything, especially like technical musicianship. I really want to get better at that, but I cannot get myself to practice. Like
Hmm.
it's just very hard. Like I find it very boring. And even when I do it, sometimes I even enjoy it, but it's one of those things that just you should do it more, but you just don't.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that, or has it just been something you've just
Oh,
always been like,
yeah.
oh, piano is a world of beauty, and I just love practicing?
No, I feel like more now than before. Like now that I'm out of school and everything, I'm aware that I should be spending so much more time than I am, and
Yeah,
there's just a lot. There's a lot to do always. I know that's never an excuse because that's the case for everybody, but
yeah.
I feel like for you, I wonder if that sort of high, as you say, could come from blues. If you really focus
Wow.
like for like a month, like give yourself a month to improvise with like a blues progression and like do
Yeah.
the same thing, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And then but it's like improv on top of it. I don't know. I feel like
Yeah,
a lot of times that those kind of transcendental moments can come from blues.
that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I maybe I could like get on Logic and put down like a 12 bar blues,
Yeah.
add a Logic drummer, play a little
Yeah.
bass. I just got a bass from Trevor and just lay down a scratch
Oh,
track and then just
nice.
open it up and be like,
Freeze. What kind
what's
of
up?
bass did you get from Trevor?
Want to see it?
Yes?
Okay, I'm taking out my headphones so I can't hear it if you say something uh, mean.
That Freeze. You gotta say mean things about him. I can't think of anything mean to say about Freeze. Freeze is too awesome. We'll open it.
This is my bass.
It looks awesome
Thank you. Let's see if I can open
in
it.
its case.
So Trevor gave it to me for free because he's the nicest guy of all time.
Wow.
I convinced him to let me pay for the strings and because he literally like did work to it to make it like in condition. Okay. See if I can get it out. It's really pretty. But I just got it because I thought it'd be nice to practice a little bit and also for like writing demos because I can play like I have this thing. Well, real quick. I have this thing so I can play like Logic bass and it's like, oh, it sounds like a bass, but
Yeah.
then I'm like, can anyone humanly play these things I'm writing? Or like at least easily? Because if not, then it doesn't really benefit me, at least for what I want to do right now. So here's the bass. It's like worn by Trevor, and it's really pretty.
That is so cute.
It is so cute.
Wow. That's really exciting.
Maybe there's some bass heads watching or just musicians who know a lot about this. I'd love to know more about it. I guess I could also ask Trevor, but it's a sub-series Sterling. So I'm just excited. I'm excited. I don't know a lot about gear, but it looks really sexy. You know what I mean? It looks really good. When I say sexy, I just mean cool.
Sexy in like a cartoon way, you know?
Yeah. Just like, dang, that looks good. And I love how it's worn. And yeah, it feels really nice. So anyway.
That's really exciting.
So I should lay down some 12 bar blues and then just like solo over it. That would be a good way to like get better maybe. But I would also need to like learn other things so that I can like learn new tricks, like learn new melodies. Because otherwise I'm just going to be like pentatonic scale.
Yeah.
And be like, what was that song in the pentatonic scale that we performed together? And you used to perform, baby, please don't go. I love that song.
Oh, yeah. That's just, man, that's one of the best.
You used to play that song live a lot, and it was so dope back when you, like, I would convince you to play Starbucks on campus. We even played together one time.
That was my first, like, show. That was my first.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
You got me to play at the coffee house that you ran.
It was like Freeze and Ella, and we played.
Yeah.
We played
some
five
of
of
your
my
songs.
and then you played one.
I think just that one.
Maybe.
And maybe one other. But yeah, man, I love that song.
That was really cool. That was really fun, and your rendition of that song was so sick. That was cool to get to play with you. I have a list of everyone I've played with, and it's cool to have you on that list from that
sweet.
show. I'm trying to think, is there any? Have we played any other shows? Oh, you played in my band.
Played in your band a couple times.
At Belia Jam.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny. Yeah, I forgot about Belia Jam.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. We played Hey Gigi. It's on YouTube if you want to see it.
I played accordion for your band once at Wednesday Nights Weed.
Yes, Wednesday Nights We Eat.
That was random.
It was an S. Grant Parker and Freeze joint set.
Yeah.
So on my songs, he played accordion, and maybe for Grant's too.
So funny, yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
It was fun. I love playing your music. Your music is like just some of the most actually fun to play.
Thank you.
It is so fun to play.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you saying that a lot. We need to play more together when we can play. I guess we could jam. We need to write some more. We need to write
Dude,
together.
I'm ready to get you on this next project I'm working on.
I would
Sweet
absolutely love that.
songs. Yeah.
Yes, I've heard about the sweet songs. I want to talk to you more about it. We just need to talk about Dream War, but they, from what I hear, you just released Dream War, and now you've already got your new project you're working on.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's because you're one of the most creative, just like true artists. When I think about just a great artist, I think about you. And I'm not saying everyone has to do that to be a great artist, but that's just that just makes sense. You'd already be working on something new. Like that's just so cool. Dream War, I feel like I don't know. You only wrote it. You weren't writing it the whole time I knew you, but it feels like knowing you has led up to Dream War. Your
Oh man, that's cool.
experience and just you growing as a musician and a songwriter and an artist and really realizing you had a story to tell through it has been really special for me to get to experience and just be around you. I'd love to talk about the album if we could some.
Yeah.
If you want to. We can talk about it as much or as little as you want, but
I love talking about Dream War.
the album is dope. For people who haven't heard it, you need to turn the lights off, close your eyes, and listen to Dream War. You can listen to it in any other context too, but it is completely immersive. I've listened to it front to back once during a performance at Hutchmoot and once in the studio with you all the way through. And it is just one of the most insane things I've ever heard. I cannot believe that one of my friends has made this album because it is so just immersive and so powerful. How many tracks is it? It's like 18? 19? Wow. And it's an hour long?
Yeah.
That is a huge piece of work. I've never written anything that long.
Real piece of work.
It's a real piece of work.
If
I'm being honest, man. Listen to it. It's wow, good grief. Yeah. I don't know. How should we talk about it? What should we say?
If you would use a British accent when we talk about it, that would be great. Thank you. Thanks for asking.
I tried to do an Australian accent earlier today, and everybody laughed, so I'm feeling insecure.
Oh.
It's okay.
That's tough.
So we should talk about what made you decide you want to make an album, because you were telling me a little bit about it the other night.
Oh, because
I'd love
because you're part of the answer.
Yeah, which I didn't know. I do remember us talking. I remember us walking around Lipscomb's campus. We had a lot of really deep conversations.
Yeah.
We have, and we still do. We had a couple nights ago. But I remember walking with you, and I remember walking down to the football field, and us talking about music and what it meant to be an artist, and if you wanted to be an artist at all. Is that the same night that you were thinking of when you were saying that?
I think we had the same conversation. I think a lot of our conversations came back around to, it was an argument actually, where you were saying, I don't want to get this wrong. You were saying you were advocating for just like creating, just make a record, and don't. I was like putting too much significance into things that weren't really significant, and you were like, it's just, you can just make a record. And I was like, if I release a record, I want it to be just all songs of other people's, who I want to record people who aren't even musicians, and you just put an instrument in front of them and ask them to see what happens, which is something
That's
that
so
I
dope.
genuinely love. My friends who don't consider themselves musicians, but I'm like, what about this instrument? What do you find in it if you just sit down? And it can be really amazing.
Right.
But you were like, dude, but you make music too that is cool, and you should just record it and let other people hear it. And and I can't remember where like the real issue was for me, but I remember like that we would actually argue, and I can't remember what the actual thing was.
Yeah, that's true.
But
We kind of were bickering. Like
yeah.
I've never felt anything but love in our relationship. Like I've only thought so fondly, but like it's like maybe it's just that we were so comfortable right off the bat with each other that it was just
Yeah.
like I mean I remember some of our first conversations were like we really were disagreeing with each other.
Yeah. Which
is
is
so
great.
funny.
That's great to have, I think.
I think so
It's great
too.
to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think so too. So when did you decide that you wanted to make an album? So what changed or an album of
Ooh.
original music? Like when
Well,
cuz
I was in
yeah,
school for production. I wanted to be a producer, and
that's right.
um, I
Me
wanted to
too.
produce for other artists, and then also have, the abilities to produce my own stuff if I ever like decided to.
Yeah.
And then, and I was really enjoying running live sound too for shows. I was like touring with Isaac's band, running live sound for them sometimes, and loved that.
That's right.
And
I
playing
remember you
in
being really into
Grant's
that.
band. Oh man, it's so fun. And I was like doing work for Vonic Music, the label, and which you
Shout
did
out to
work for
Vonic.
them too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I did a little bit of work for them too. That Beyond's
yeah,
project and
yeah, I loved like the kind of just little like production work that I got to do for him was so fun. Um
you still
and
talk to
then
him?
every so often,
Cool.
not too frequently, but we actually are still with them. Isaac, the project that me and Isaac have, is still with Vonic. The
Oh,
same, like
St.
our
Dawn and
instrumental
Slumber?
music. Yeah. Um,
I've forgotten to mention
I
this.
know it's like years ago.
St. Dawn and Slumber. This is a project you and Isaac made. Isaac, your husband. Isaac's in a band called the Arcadian Wild, who are awesome. That's its own story. I want to talk to Isaac and bring him on here. That is a whole world. That man, they've got a whole world. But you and him made an album together of piano music, which is really cool.
Yeah, we stopped mid-pro. We have like 4 songs out, 4 pieces out with that project, and
Is there gonna be more?
there's gonna be more. Yeah, it's coming.
Oh,
It's
cool.
coming, and it might be pretty different. I think we're gonna maybe kind of morph that project into our like side interest project where we can make the
Ooh.
kind of music, and I think we're gonna start self-producing pretty soon here.
Wow.
Make like the kind of like Isaac really likes writing pop music, and um his band is a folk band, and so we'll probably
Isaac
start.
loves pop music. He's
I
always playing it. I went
know.
on tour with him twice, and it was like every day Isaac's got the iPod and he's like playing just I literally do think he had an iPod. I might have made that up, but I remember him having like a specific music device at one point. And maybe I
Yeah,
made that up. But
no, iPod, yeah, for sure.
and just playing the like early 2000s pop. It's that he loves. So
Yeah,
what made you guys want to make like music for is it specifically for sleep?
yeah,
St.
it
Dawn and
is.
slumber.
It is. Well, we both. This is so cute. You're not ready for this, Freeze.
I'm
You
ready.
ready to hear about this?
It's
Okay.
gonna be adorable.
The reason that we started that project, is because when Isaac and I first met, one of our first experiences together was in a practice room on campus that had 2 pianos.
The last one.
The last one, and no, it's like by the theory room. Like the room that we had theory
Oh.
in sometimes.
Yeah.
Those two uprights back to back, like back to back. And I was in there working on something. I was in there working on the soundtrack for an audiobook. And then Isaac like came in and started riffing, and like I don't know how long it was, but it was like the most emotional experience that I ever had with another person, and we like it was crazy. It was
And then
insane.
you were like, "What's your name?"
Yeah. And so we both had this love for instrumental, for like just piano music, and we're like, that's crazy. Nobody else that we're like tight with is likes just piano music. And
Yeah.
and so like as soon as we got married, we started recording those, just like writing piano music.
Wow, that's
It was
unbelievable.
sweet.
I didn't
It was
realize you were
sweet.
already married when you guys made that.
Yeah.
That's so special. That's a way better story than the one you guys were running with for St. Dawn and Slumber. So
What were we running? What?
You want to hear what I heard?
Yes.
I heard no, I'm just kidding. But you would always. I'd always been under the impression that it was like a project that was like trying to get streams.
Oh. Well,
But
I
now
don't
I'm hearing a
know. I
love
mean,
story.
we like didn't even promote it.
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
know. Yeah, Vonic does a good job of like pitching the playlist, so I think we definitely, it was like, maybe this could also be an income source if like, because the Arcadian Wild's most played song is
A
piano instrumental, which like doesn't fit in at all, but they like threw in the record, and so I think,
how many streams is that song had? Hers?
so many.
Let's look it up.
It's crazy.
It's not number one anymore, or it's not
funny.
popular.
That's funny that, yeah, well, it's not on those playlists anymore, I don't think.
Oh, they have no. People want to sleep to different music now.
Yeah.
Man, that's what's so harsh about the playlist game, especially with like that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, sorry, like people want to sleep. We changed it out. Dang.
Yeah.
Dude. But no, I think that's a really sweet story. I think that's really cool, and that is. I mean, I've always known that about you. You two are fantastic musicians, and I've always just been really impressed by your skill and like technically, and also just your songwriting ability. So I think it's the perfect project, and I'm excited to see what y'all do together. I also forgot that you made a soundtrack for your dad's book.
Yeah. His children's book. Yeah.
Cool. Where is that available? Can we still hear that?
I don't know. I don't think it was ever. It's like on the audiobook. It was just for. It's for the audiobook, and then you can also get like. There's a CD of it, so that if you read the book to your kid, you can have it playing in the background, and then when the book ends, it keeps playing while they fall asleep. So
that is adorable.
Okay. So I was already doing sleep piano music before
Isaac showed up.
Yeah, before Isaac showed up.
That's cool. Wow. Yes. So wow, that's some real context for Dreamwork that you've been. I mean, leading up to this album, you have made that soundtrack. You made music with Isaac. You've been on the road running live sound for the Arcadian Wild. You've played a little bit with me, but a lot with
mostly
Grant.
Grant's band a lot. Yeah.
Is that where you were like primarily like every show playing?
Mm-hmm.
And Grant was like during that time and today, like doesn't do a lot of touring, but has a steady
Lots of
show.
shows.
Like
Lots
a
of
show or
shows,
two every month. Maybe sometimes even more. And I'm also in that band. Thankfully, I begged to be in that band because I think it's so fun, and Grant's songs are so great, and I like being around y'all, and that's been a really cool project together. But then, this is your first album of, I don't know what you say, like vocal music, like, or you know what I mean, like music with, it's not instrumental. Really just an incredible step, just an incredibly ambitious album. What inspired you to move to that when you already were doing all these other things? They could have taken up all your time.
Yeah. I remember my first conversation about my future with Charlie when I was about to start school. And he said, why is it that you want to be go into production and not like be an artist. And I don't know what I answered. I was like, well, I just don't see myself as an artist really. And he said, well, that's okay, but it's not okay if it's just because you're afraid. And I was like,
Wow.
it should just be, like whatever. But that conversation comes back to me now because it was my the summer before senior year of college that I started working on, like, I started imagining, like, what will my senior project be like? And I started to have this vision for a show that I would produce, and I would, like, have everybody that I care about, like, be involved in this show, and I would find, like, what is it that, that, like, when I walk into a room for rehearsal and Grant is already in there and he goes, check this out, and he's like on the floor moving stuff around on his pedal board, and he like creates this huge wall of sound, and it sounds amazing, and it's like so cool and creative, and he's just like responding to the sounds, and I'm like, dude, you should put that in your music. And he's like, no, I mean, it's like, I love it, but it's not like for my music. And so I had this like this vision for, I'm gonna create this space where I'm gonna have my friends like use those like things that they love but that they don't feel, for whatever reason, they don't feel like they can include in their own music. And that was like my initial thought for this project. And then I started writing for it, and it started taking shape, and I started like, this was like a snowball effect. Like I just started spending more and more time on it, and it's just like, it's just a senior project at this point. And
interesting. That's right. It was to be performed once. A senior project.
Yeah.
Does that give you more liberty to kind of be like, well, I'm gonna like have some fun with this because I'm just gonna perform this for the homies, like my family and my school friends, right before I leave college. Mic drop. Like this isn't like an album you're recording and doing a Kickstarter for and performing at Hutchmoot. This is just school.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So much freedom in that. And
wow.
But then like as I was started spending more time in like the writing room and in the space of like making, like writing things that I can't sing yet because I'm just not an accomplished vocalist, like writing literally like out of my range, thinking maybe if I work on it, I can do this, or somebody else will sing it, and like writing parts on the piano that I like can't play yet, but I'm going to work on it till I can. And in that space, I felt so freaking alive, and I felt so like filled with life and purpose, and just really like love. I mean, so much. I just felt so much love for like what I was doing, and the people around me who were like influencing it, and at that point it was like, this, I can't ignore like the fact that doing this feels really right to me, and my desire for like to like just be a producer and like run sound and play in other people's bands, those things I do love also, but none of it like compared to this feeling. And so I started like talking to some mentors and professors, and was like, I think I like have to decide, like I think I have to decide to be an artist. It's like really weird to be like, this is a decision that I'm making. Like, this is what I need to pursue.
Yeah, which is funny because you're so naturally creative to me. It's like, oh, Ella, of course, like she's an artist, always has been. But you're like having conversation, like, yeah, I think I want to be an artist.
yeah, right. It like really like did come down to like a choice, like, and I think Charlie was right that there was a fear thing before. It was like,
I can't believe you said that.
Gosh, I know. Well, it's like, it's so, it does like take I think there's a lot of fear in it for me, like to say, I'm going to do this thing wholeheartedly, and if it's not good, I have no excuse because
Wow.
I put
Yeah.
everything into this.
That is scary to put everything into something and be like, what if it's still not good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But
So
I love
who
the
else?
choice.
Who else did you meet with? You say some professors. You mind me asking who else or like mentors? Who else is like a mentor or like a professor that you would have this conversations with?
Steve Taylor.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he was one of the people that I was like, hey, can I talk to you?
Yeah.
Um,
I love Steve. I love Steve
yeah.
Taylor. Oh my goodness. He is so cool. For those who don't know, Steve is just, I was just talking to Finley, Joel today about, we got coffee today. Cause she's gonna maybe start helping with some of this free TV stuff. But, we were talking about
Oh,
Steve and
cool.
she was just like, yeah, Steve is a genius. He can do anything he wants. Like he can make films. He has done the film thing. He's done the music thing. He's done everything in between. He literally
Yeah.
walks faster than anybody I know, and that's where my inspiration begins with him. Because I'm just like, you'd be on Lipscomb's campus, and you're like, who is that dude? And like, he's just this tall, coolest looking dude you've ever seen. Got
Yeah.
the like Mick Jagger jawbone,
Yeah, he does.
and he's just walking, and I'm just like, I got to be this guy. I took his songwriting class. I learned so much
Oh,
from
that is
him.
so cool. I
Yeah,
can't believe I missed that class.
you didn't get to take songwriting.
But that is my biggest regret of
Oh,
school.
you should
Is
audit it. You live next there. You just audit it and walk over.
maybe
To
I
take.
can.
Yeah,
That would be
I
great.
donate. I donate to that GoFundMe. So how are you and Steve tied though? Because like the only reason I met him is through desperately. Every time I see him on campus, I'd be like, "Hey, Steve," and I would have like one thing prepared to be like, "Steve, how do you get a regional following as a touring band?" And he would like answer me, and then I would just be like, "Okay," and then I would leave again. That's literally been my relationship with Steve.
I'm picturing you like in between classes, like writing signs to him, basically autographs. Like,
It felt pretty
notice me.
similar to that. I wanted so badly for him to like me. I was like, this guy, I mean, he's the coolest dude.
Yeah, he
Did you
is.
know him before Lipscomb or did you just
Yeah, actually, it's kind of maybe random. I guess it probably had to do with Charlotte. I don't know, but um, I remember an awards dinner that my dad took me to once. We sat at a table with Steve and his daughter. So like she and I like sat together at this dinner, and
yeah. His
and then
daughter's
like
fun.
yeah, she went to Lipscomb, and so like ran
Yeah.
into her there, and it was like, dude, we were at like this dinner once. It was so random, but so that's my like oldest memory of him. But I guess he knew my parents, and I can't remember what.
What? So wait, your dad is like in
I
the
know.
music industry, but do we not know how? He just was there. He was just around.
Yeah, yes. I mean, he was writing for a bunch of people, so
That's
I
right,
don't know.
writing. You mentioned that.
Yeah.
Cool. So you knew Steve. He knows you, and he's somebody who you've been able to seek out as like a mentor.
He has worked with Daniel Smith of the band Danielson and Danielson Family.
You love Danielson.
I love them. I love him. Daniel Smith. Oh my gosh. One of my really biggest musical inspirations, and
That's awesome.
and yeah, so like getting to sit down at a table with somebody who had worked with Daniel Smith, but you can't reduce Steve Taylor to that, obviously, because like you watch one of his live shows and you're like, you watch Steve Taylor live and it's mesmerizing. I remember like missing a class once because I was watching it and was like so enthralled that I forgot everything else in the world. It's like watching this performance of him. He's so good. But yeah,
That's cool.
so getting to talk to him, just like right at the beginning, him, Brown Bannister, gosh, just to be like, hey, I'm thinking this is a thing for me, and he's such a good shepherd.
Brown
for us, yeah.
and Debbie too.
And Debbie,
we love the Bannister family. We talked about it. Me and Grant talked about it in the last episode, but like
they're so good.
For those who don't know, Charlie Peacock, he's in charge of the music program where Ella and I met, as we mentioned. Charlie has to leave for a number of reasons, and Brown Bannister takes over, and Brown is just also just an amazing guy. Just one of the best
cool.
listeners. He's a leader, but he's the best listener.
Yeah.
It freaks me out. I'm talking to him and I'm just talking way too much. I'm just like, every time I'm just like, oh my goodness, why am I still talking? Like, what? How does he do this to me? Like, he's so, and just cares so much. I just don't understand how someone could care that much, you know? It makes me cry. And then you meet his wife, Debbie. And
you're like, she cares more.
Yes, she cares more. It's crazy. You realize that she's like just so incredible. Wow. We could, man, you think he would come on here and talk to me some?
I bet you could get him.
Oh, that would be so
we can
cool.
Sign a petition.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
So cool. So you're, at this point, we're looking at, this is, I mean, not even that long ago, right? Was this like last year, 2 years ago?
2 years, yeah.
And you're talking to Brown, you're talking to Steve, and you're talking to Charlie some too still?
Yeah.
Or is Charlie kind of, wow, this is already a dream team of guidance. Like,
and
what
Rod
a blessing.
Taylor, John Fleming, and John Painter.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Brooke Wagner. I like met with her once. I mean, she's amazing.
How did we get Brooke? Gosh. Brooke was our professor, and
how did we get her?
She would literally like came off the road with Jack White and was like teaching us in like band 101. It's like some class on like how to be in a band. It's like, dude, what on earth? That was so
amazing.
Cool. And she was so chill. I remember one time she told me I was gonna make it. And like not even really more than that. She was just like, I was like, do you like LaCroix? She was like, yeah. And she's like, Reese, I think you got it. I think you're gonna make it. I was like, make it what? Like make it big? She's like, I don't know. She's like, I think you'll make it. And I was like,
that's
awesome. Anyway, so a lot of cool people, and you're talking to all these people just about this project. What are you talking to them about? Just like,
I think about just kind of this realization that I really want to pursue this. But here, like, I had this list of like, what are my setbacks and what are going to be like the biggest hindrances for me. One was vocally. Like, I was not a vocalist at all. I didn't consider myself a singer, and didn't know how to use my voice safely. I would like hurt my voice all this every time. Like,
really?
I mean, like in high school, I did a lot of musicals, and I would lose my voice every time we had a show. It was just like a very consistent thing, and like that I was hurting my voice. And so that was top of my list of like, okay, I want to be an artist, but I'm not a singer, so how could I do that? And Brown Bannister or Debbie, I don't know, one of them connected me with this guy named Chance Scoggins, who's a vocal coach and like a life coach also, which is awesome.
What?
And so I had scheduled a session with him, and in 1 hour, I'm like, this is just not an exaggeration, I left with a bigger range than I knew I had, like vocally. Wow. And with like all, like, my future was opened after one session with him. He is so amazing. I think anybody in music who gets a chance to just like get one session with him should do it, because I really believe that we probably all have a lot more in us than we know, and he's the kind of person who can like pull it out of you, like figure it out. What is it that you're like not accessing? And so he helped me. Like, now I can say I'm a singer, which is weird.
You're an amazing singer, and you always have been. I've always thought that you were just an amazing singer, but
that's sweet.
I mean, that's a really cool story though, and I mean, I have seen your vocal range grow, and your performance on this record is unbelievable.
Thanks.
In every way. So
fun.
That's cool. So Brown recommended. What was his name? Dr. Scoggins?
I think he's like a friend of Debbie's.
Cool.
I think is how he maybe got involved with Lipscomb, but
so
So
what is this senior concert of 2018 or is it spring of 2019? Is this a year ago or 2 years ago?
19. Wait. Yeah, 19.
Cool.
Oh yeah, cuz okay, right. Time
19.
right now is
It's so confusing lately, just with quarantine going on and on. Yeah. So
Oh
interesting.
yeah, like a year ago I performed that. That's just over a year. Yeah.
Wow.
For like the first time. That was
And this is
yeah.
at Lipscomb. You're performing Dream More, the product that we're hearing. You performed that in full. It's the exact same
Mhm.
thing.
It's not exactly the same. I rewrote a bit of it after realizing that like this is like I want to record this and tour this.
Hmm. Yeah.
I rewrote so the song that features the Arcadian Wild called Walls was not in
Walls.
the original
Yes.
performance. That was originally a song called Rhyolite, which I wrote for Ron Fair. I
Whoa.
also wrote Sound and Fury for him. So
Does he know
um,
that?
I no, he doesn't know.
He will
I've emailed him.
now. So what about Wheel of Love with Grant? Was that?
That was in it. That was in the first show. That is the song that I had planned to ask you to sing with me for my senior concert.
No
But
way.
you were in I think
On
South by
tour?
Southwest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um but
Yeah,
yeah, that's the song.
that was pretty bad. I was very sad. Um,
Oh.
I really wanted to be a part of that. I'm sorry I couldn't be.
That's okay. I don't know if you knew that though, that that's the song that I was hoping you
No,
that's the
I
one
did
that I
not
had
know
planned
that.
for
I didn't know Wheel of Love
you to
was.
sing
I knew that you had wanted me to do one. Now I'm gonna listen to it with new ears.
on.
I'm glad you found Grant. He's kind of second rate, but
Yeah.
he can do a decent Freeze impression. So what about? Just kidding. Well, where is she now? The song you do with Fulton Lee.
That was in the first one.
Did Fulton come and perform it at Lipscomb?
Yeah, the whole Fulton Lee band.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they're so freaking awesome. I love them.
They they are an amazing group of people.
Yeah.
And they will continue to succeed. They're in uh, you know, this is gonna date itself pretty quickly, but
We're in Music
like
City Mayhem.
yeah, y'all are in Music City
I'm so
Mayhem.
excited.
So I think if I put this out tonight or tomorrow, maybe people can see this and help vote for y'all.
Voting on Tuesday, August 11th, if that's today
Cool.
for you watching.
I am
So,
I'm a little mad. We could have faced you guys. I got offered to be a part of it, but declined because there was going to be a live performance, and I was going to be on tour at the time. I had a show in New York for the same night, but now it's all
oh,
online, and I would just love to battle you.
you could have been, freeze.
That would have been so
Well,
fun.
yeah.
Just like we could have just like actually just like had beef, just like gone at
Yeah.
it, promoted each other, just slandered each other. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
You could do that anyway.
Me and Fulton could have a
You
dance
could be
off.
like, write and vote, write and vote, write and freeze.
Yeah, right. Right in freeze. There's you know, just real quick, there are a lot of really good bands. Like I think we're on the Elite Eight or something as of
Hmm.
earlier today. And I'd heard of like 7 of the bands. I was like, oh my goodness, this is
Yeah,
I mean, Nashville's
it's
just crazy.
crazy.
But
Yeah.
this in particular, 9100 competition is so crazy. I'm rooting for y'all. But
Thanks.
if Odd Note is listening, I'm rooting for them too. And anyway,
Oh yeah, man,
um,
odd note. Oof. Yeah.
they're rock, dude. They rock. So you performed this piece. I was not there, sadly. I was at South by. What was that like? That was your first. I mean, that was. You performed the whole thing, and nobody had heard it. I mean, besides the band, and maybe you had your parents. Had anyone else even heard this creation at all?
No, nobody had heard it.
Had Isaac heard it?
Uh, no, he wasn't even at like the rehearsals.
Oh my gosh!
So it was
Wow.
his first time to see it, and
What
he
was
was
that like?
on the one song. My favorite, I have a couple favorite memories from that show. The first was like, you know, you know me and how like stressed out I was like this whole day, like trying to make sure that everything is ready and I didn't
Yeah,
forget stuff, and does everybody have what they need, um
a lot of
and
people
the
involved.
Isaac had like tried to fix the shower that day and like broke something didn't work. So I'm like over at Jacqueline's house, and Jack Thompson, who I can't believe hasn't come up yet. My goodness. The best
Yeah, for
person
real.
in the world. Our best friend Jack Thompson. And
She's
so
coming
I'm
on
like,
here.
yay. So I was at her house and like trying to vocally warm up in the right time and like whatever. Just really, really as stressed as a little person could be. And I got to the venue, and the whole band was there in their nice black clothes, like they all looked so good, and they were like, I have this visual memory of like stepping into that room and walking up to the stage, and all of them are there, and they're all ready, and they're like just excited to do this. And I felt so freaking supported. It was like, these people, it was like when I feel like I'm not ready and I don't have everything ready for everybody else, it was like, these are people who have got my back, and they're like here, and that was so sweet.
I cannot imagine what was going through your mind and your heart. Just like,
oh,
you have
man.
worked so hard on these pieces that are a big piece, and it's that beautiful hallway. Is that where they were all standing, like inside?
Oh yeah.
What's it called? Is it Ward Hall, right? Is that what it's called?
No, we were in Shamblin. We
You were in
performed it in
Shamblin?
I know, isn't that special?
Wow.
I had to really work hard to get Shamblin.
Yeah, so Shamblin, Ward Hall is like where a lot of classical like things are performed, and it's got like the really high seats that go up really high really quickly. Shamblin is like a lounge. You've got like tables. So, or did you have a rows of people sitting, or were people sitting?
We had rows because there were lots of people.
Shamblin is like a dream venue to me because I grew up going to events there, and like I just always have wanted to play it, and then have had a lot of opportunities through going to Lipscomb, and it is a beautiful place, and you've got a big backstage because there's theater in there too, and so is that where everybody was? Were they in the back?
Like on the side stage, you know.
The big side stage?
Yeah, the big side stage.
Oh,
and that's Freeze. That was our first performance in the program. Our first
together
concert
in the same venue
was there, and that was like part of to me. That was like, I really want to end it there. You know.
We performed together in a few different semesters. Like basically, there'd be like band. Like I said band 101 jokingly earlier, but it's like we would play. You would like learn a bunch of songs as a group, kind of workshop what it means to like help communicate and play songs together. You and I, semester 2, did Burning Down the House.
Oh yeah.
It was your idea, and that was so much fun.
No, you are remembering it wrong.
That is your idea.
It was not. Well, okay, it was the first time. Okay, first class, first ensemble class. You played Jupiter Squeeze, and I didn't know you yet, and I was like, okay, I really like this, and I really want to sing like a Talking Head song with this guy.
I performed. I thought for the class, right? Is that what you mean?
For the class. Yeah, Charlie had us like all perform a song for each other, and I thought like, I want to sing "Burning Down the House" with you. It like forgot that, and then second semester, somebody else suggested the song "Burning Down the House," and then it was like, okay, who's gonna sing it? Freeze, obviously, and I'm like freaking. I'm like over here. Like, okay, yeah, it's great that Freeze is gonna sing it. That's perfect. But also, I really want to sing it with him. And so, like, you were singing it, and I was like, I don't know what happened. I maybe was just like trying to make eye contact with Charlie or something, and he was like, "Want to go up there?" I was like, "Yeah, this is absolutely a dream."
That's so.
That was
cool.
so fun. That was so fun.
That was so fun. That was a really special. All those performances were really special and emotional.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, we're a group of people, and you know, I don't get to talk to everybody from that original group, 20 of us every day, but I keep in touch with a lot of them, and you know, even like Riley in St. Louis, and obviously you
Yeah.
and Grant and Jack and Benjamin and Chelsea, and I could go on. Just so many sweet friends we have through that. But that's
Yeah.
like 2016. No,
Yeah.
that was the beginning of
That was the beginning.
college. This project is your final project, and wow, which makes it even more emotional thinking about that space and all of the memories and just going out there to perform. Like, what a champion you have become. You know, I'm not trying to sell people on the college experience here, you know, but like you grew so much, and man, I wish I could have been there so bad. That is so special.
Man, Friso, it is so cool to me that you came to see the show at Hutchmoot. That like meant so much to
Wow.
me for you to be there and see it.
When was that? That was
October of last year.
last
That
year.
was right before. That was the day that I started the Kickstarter, and like we started recording a couple weeks after that.
Yes, that was cool. So I didn't really know much about this. Apparently, is this something? I still don't. Andrew, I just think Andrew Peterson, is he the one who runs this?
It's the Rabbit Room, yeah. So Pete Peterson and Andrew.
Is Rabbit Room the same thing that does those things called like the local show?
Yeah.
At the Well. So I've been to one of those. I think with you, we saw like one at the Well together. I think.
Yeah.
Wow. So they do a fest or some sort of gathering of a ton of people.
Yeah.
At a church, and you performed. Was it closing night? Well, it was like towards the end of it.
It was like the big performance night. Yeah.
Yeah. And you performed front to back. Your entire movement, an hour-long piece with total silence from a massive room of people on a massive, like, I call it a mega church. I know it's not, but you know, a big stage. I remember just sitting there. I had a cup of coffee that I had found in some dark hallway. I was itching for a cup, and me and Andrew Peterson, I think, were looking around, and Jack Thompson, and I just sat down by myself, and as close as I can get to you, and I see you up on the stage, and the whole, like, it was just the most moving experience. I mean, rarely ever do you get to just sit for an hour and just watch your friends just making music, you know, no applause even, just the whole thing.
Yeah. That was crazy because like my first performance of the whole show, I had like specifically requested the audience not clap between songs, and that's like from my classical background. I just wanted it to be taken in as one piece and not to be like divided with applause. And I got some like feedback after that from people saying it was really hard not to clap, and like it honestly, like you shouldn't ask people to not clap because we really want to do that.
We want to clap.
Yeah, so I decided like to not. I like followed the advice, and then comes our performance at Hutchmoot, and nobody clapped. And it was like the first time that it happened, I was like, oh, they know. Like everybody here just knows. Like it's
wow.
Like that this is
you didn't tell
a whole
them to.
thing. I didn't tell them to not clap, and they didn't. It was crazy. It was crazy. Or everybody crazy. Just hated it. I don't
or, yeah, maybe.
They were like,
that could be a possible hypothesis if the standing ovation you got at the end wasn't the most beautiful thing to bring a tear to my eye.
Oh my goodness.
Like that was just so sweet. I'm getting a tear up thinking about it. That was cool. And that night, which you planned perfectly, playing in front of this massive crowd of generous people, is when you announced the Kickstarter. And they made an announcement about it on stage. And
yeah, that was so sweet.
That was sweet. And then you began raising money to record the most epic piece of music ever. And so that was in October. You funded it in what? How long did it take to fund? Do you remember? You did stretch goals.
2 weeks. I think
You
it
flexed
was
on
2
us.
weeks. Yeah.
It was a very
It was
successful
awesome.
Kickstarter, and you've been working on that since. What has that been like from October to now? I mean, it's a long
Mm,
amount of time to be like from everybody paying and being like, "Oh, you're gonna make the album, and here's the album you're gonna get," and then
yeah.
disappearing for that's like 8, 9 months.
Yeah.
How's this?
It's
How's it been the last 8, 9 months?
it's very different than like the writing process. I wrote the album in like 6 months. Um,
Yeah. Wow.
and which yeah felt like that time, like as difficult as like that process can be in like this space. I mean, the content of the album is so heavy in a lot of ways, and like sometimes when we perform these songs, it is like difficult for me.
Yeah.
I have to in some ways like disassociate to be able to get through some of the songs. But so the writing process was like
Wow.
very, like it was very like me in a room, um like battling with myself to write these songs. And
Amazing. Yeah.
then after like the album, the process of actually recording is like the opposite of that. It's like
Yeah.
it's so cool to have like this completely alternate like workflow where it's like everything that I'm doing has to do with other people,
Yeah.
and like involving it like other
Collaborative.
people's talents. Oh man, yeah, right. So getting to work with Evan Redwine, he engineered, uh, mixed, and
Co-produced.
co-produced with me. Yeah. Um,
He did
which,
amazing.
oh my goodness, he did an incredible job. I mean, I'm so impressed with him. So that was super cool playing with the band.
Can we go
COVID,
through the band?
yes.
I know there's a lot of
Oh,
people, but can we talk about? Can we list them?
yes. Okay.
That's not too much pressure.
Number one superstar. I hope that nobody's feelings are hurt. Ethan Sullivan on the drums, like, yeah, no, nobody could beat this performance. Like
Yeah.
he is so good, and
He's so good.
he's the person I wanted, because like I had seen him play shows with other people and was just like, that's the person that I want to play drums on my music.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he did a phenomenal job on the whole record. On bass, we have Eric Coveney, who's playing with the Arcadian Wild a lot right now, which is
Yeah.
so cool.
He's so cool. He's an
He
amazing musician.
he he's yeah, he's amazing, and he recorded remotely. We live tracked the album, but he was not available during that time.
Whoa,
So we did
really?
everything. We live tracked without the bass, and then I just like sent him
Whoa, live
everything.
track with no bass.
I know, it's crazy. And he did, I love this. He sent 2 versions of just about everything. One where he was doing like, he recorded like just like the simple stuff, mainly like what he thought I would want. And then the second version that was like just for fun, like that where he like goes nuts. And me and Evan chose that take of everything every time, because it's
Really?
him just having fun is so good. Also, oh, so
Wow.
fun
Wow.
to what, like when I like sent him some of the songs, he was like, nobody's ever turned my bass up this loud. It was like so fun to get to like really feature his playing, because it's unbelievable.
It is.
Um,
That's really cool.
yeah.
That's really cool. He also during the process of you recording this album, didn't he also like do a piece of the bell chord where he
He
like
made a movie.
he made a movie and
Yeah.
the soundtrack too, right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and he premiered it at the Belcourt.
Wow,
That was
man.
awesome.
That talk about like life goal. I mean,
Yeah.
what on earth have you at the bell chord? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, 2 amazing off the bat, and then who else do we have?
Yes. We have Bryce Dubray on electric guitar.
Bryce Dubray, who plays with me, records a lot with me too. We love Bryce. He's one of the most amazing musicians and just best dudes. Just
Yeah.
such an awesome guy.
He's like, I saw him play with Kelsey Abbott was the first time that I like was aware of him as a person.
Yeah.
And that I remember that performance, and like watching him play and thinking, that's the sound that I want in my music for sure. And and then like after, come to find out he's like the nicest person in the world, and like absolutely you have a conversation with him and you have hope for the future of humanity. Like,
I feel the same way. Totally. He is so good. And I met him through Johnny. Like,
yeah.
Well, I met him when he was in a band with Johnny in high school, and they performed at Freeze Fest 3.
What band?
They had a band called Naff Noise, and yeah, and they were an amazing, like, kind of punky rock band. And then Johnny wanted to do Future Crib, and Bryce was a little bit less involved in the beginning, and then now he's like a core member of. And so I didn't know Bryce as well. Like, Johnny was playing in my band before I really had ever seen much of Bryce's musicianship outside of like a punk band. And wow, over the last 2 years and year, just like getting to be around him more, and like him slowly becoming part of my project and your project, working harder on Kelsey's project.
Yeah.
He is just
he's killing it.
And on Future Crib just continues to kill it. So cool. I'm so glad you had him on the record, and I know he is too.
And he's also the person where I'm like, my pedal doesn't work anymore. Like, I don't know why. I'm like, hey, Bryce. And he's like, I actually have a toolkit especially for this. And then he like fixes it on the spot. You're like,
it is unbelievable how yes, that is so bright. I mean, he builds pedals.
Yeah, it's so cool.
He fixes people's keyboards. He fixed Zach's Wurlitzer
after I broke it.
Ooh, I didn't know that part of the story.
During a show.
A Grant show?
Grant's show. I was playing
I remember
the
that.
Wurlitzer, and like during a Just of Wurlitzer's solo part, the key dropped like a half step and then like another half step, and it was like, oh, it was so crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. And then Bryce fixed it.
That's crazy. Who else is in the band?
Okay. S. Grant Parker on guitar also.
Featured last episode, if you don't know who that is.
Yes. And he also sang on almost every song.
Yes, that's right. He did him and Jack Thompson on vocals.
Yeah.
Harmonies.
The two of them singing, whew, so special. They were both really important in like the like expanding of this music. Like I write it, and like even in my writing processes, taking it to them and being like, what would you sing with this if this is what I was doing? And I changed some of the stuff that I do. Like I changed because of what they thought of that they can do. And like, so the two of them are absolutely core to this project, being what it is.
I love that. That is just so cool, because y'all are all three of you are such special people. It just makes my heart so happy. And they really are. I mean, did you hear, I don't know if you heard this, on the last episode, Grant said that he wants to make a record with Jack. He put it in the ether for the first time publicly. He was like, yeah, I'd love to make an album with Jack.
I'm so ready for that. What? That's gonna blow something up. I don't know.
I want to hear that so bad.
I know.
And he's like, yeah, we'll do it in a day. I'm like, dude, what? I mean, they could. They're both incredible. That's cool. So, anyone else in the band?
Yes. Caleb Kuhlman on synth was so cool. That was so fun. I play keys, but I don't. Like when I see him, I'm like, okay, I don't do that. Like he's so good.
He's really good.
And so he did an amazing job, really like finding the right soundscapes, the right textures to add to the music, and it was he's so great to work with too. He's just so fun to like have in the studio.
He's a really, really nice dude, and he makes great music with Van Osdale. Which we should mention too. Wow. So wow, man, everyone that you're mentioning, I have something to say about. It is a loaded band.
Yeah,
You saw these people out. Were these all the people who did you know? Like, were you just kind of eyeing these people over the last few years? Like, great.
yeah,
You're like, oh, that'd be awesome to have him
yeah.
on an album one day. I mean, this is
Oh, for
all
sure,
stars.
for
This is what they
sure.
talk about in Nashville, dude. This is it. This is the
And then,
wow.
well, we also have on a couple of the tracks we have Chelsea Sutton singing,
Oh,
Erica Dave singing. I know. Um,
Erica Daves of
and
Dave's Highway.
yeah, so freaking good.
Her
So
voice is
they added a
unbelievable.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So is
then
Chelsea's.
yeah, crazy. Chelsea goes I on Water's Rise. I was like, okay, and then in this section, like, imagine that you're like a siren luring somebody to their death, and then she goes, woo, and she does the most amazing, like, beautiful. It's in the bridge of Water's Rise, but it's
I will
so
listen for
cool.
that.
Um, yeah,
Wow.
she's just they're both like so they instantly are like, yeah, I know what you mean,
Yeah.
and they can make it happen. And then we have um, Isaac Horn, my guy, on. He plays guitar in a couple spots, and then he
Yeah.
sang on a
On
couple
Walls,
tracks too. Yeah, the Arcadian Wild. I forgot the features. The Arcadian Wild,
Fulton
um,
Lee.
on Walls, Fulton Lee, on Where Is She Now,
She's so fun.
um, and then we also had David Goodman on playing bagpipes on um,
I meant to
Sna-
ask you about that. I heard the bagpipes. I was like, what? I cannot believe this is in here.
yeah, it was so cool to have him in the studio. That was so fun. Um, and then we also had Cremaine Booker on cello for 2 songs.
What's his name?
He's
Like that
otherwise
cello
known
guy?
as that cello guy, and he is that cello guy. He's so cool.
Claim the
Like,
throne. That's cool.
man, he just like came in and threw it down, and he's like so he plays so like he's so in the music and like just emotive and so skilled, and like, man, it was really cool to have him play cello. Is like my favorite instrument to listen to, so
It
getting
might be
that.
the most beautiful instrument, right? It's just
Yeah, well, it's
so
the one that like
human.
you're in your gut, you're like, I
Hmm.
can't take this, it's so good. Yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree.
I think that is everybody. Evan Redwine, who was engineering and producing and mixing, he also played a lot of guitars. In
Cool.
post, like he had lots of ideas, and we like made lots of changes and stuff, and he's one of the most talented guitar players I know as well.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And then Duncan Ferguson at the Voltage Exchange mastered
Yes.
everything, and he did an awesome job.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, he was so cool. He would like send a master, and we would be like, I have like all these other ideas, and like send them to him, and he would just like do it and send it back. It was so cool.
How'd you find Duncan?
He's a friend of Evan.
Cool.
They've like worked together before, so.
He so Duncan came to the small group of people that got to listen to the um album. It was actually just the band. Ella invited me and it meant the world to me. I'm the only person that didn't sing or record a note or mix or master that was invited. So thank you again for letting me be a part of that.
Oh yeah.
And maybe it's because I was the journalist, right? I was taking notes the whole time.
Oh no, it's because you were so huge in this happening.
Well,
Were you taking notes?
thank you. I would no. I was taking it in and taking as much free coffee as I could. If you didn't notice,
Mhm.
I was hiding in the corner eating all the snacks, and because you set out snacks, and I just felt like they were getting kind of neglected, and it always makes someone feel good when
Yeah,
there's a dent in their
people
snacks.
don't really need snacks, right? I'm always like, I want to have them there, and then I'm like,
They're
people
lost.
didn't need that, but.
I needed it. It was awesome. And anyway, Duncan, just like a really, really sweet dude. And, it really touched me right when we were leaving. He stopped you when we were all there and he just kind of opened up about what a special experience this was. And
Yeah.
for a person who professionally masters music, he has to hear so much music. And he really stop for a second and was like, this was a gift. Like I really appreciate you letting me work on this. I mean, that meant a lot to me. Like I was just like, wow, that's
Yeah.
cool. It was cool of him to say that, and I think that he's right. I mean, I think everybody involved in this, I know everybody involved in this project, they weren't doing this for, they were doing this because they loved it and they loved being a part of it and they loved you. They love you, and it's such a special environment. Being in the green room at Hutchmoot, seeing your whole band all dressed up together, so special. You have fostered such a good team, which is a really amazing skill, and it shows in the music. The music sounds so cohesive, so much this unit, this magic from start to end. Um, it is a world that we get to live in, and just huge congratulations to you. I'm so glad it's out now. Um, I'm sure you are just. Has it been just like a changing world? I mean, how do you feel at all? Is it, are you already moved on, or are you like, oh my goodness, I have so much Kickstarter work to do, or are you like,
I do.
or I'm sure you're getting a
Yeah.
lot of sweet messages, and like I just put out a song today, and it's just
Yeah.
every day I put out a song, and
Freeze.
it's, yeah, thank you. Every time I put
That
out
song is so
even a song, somebody, I get texts, and
mm-hmm.
people listen to it, and even what you're saying right now, it's very encouraging. I have people just been blowing you up with sweet words.
Man, it is the craziest thing. Yeah, I've had like just a few days of kind of like I haven't done a whole lot because I'm like responding to people, and it's the
Yeah.
sweetest thing. I'm just like sitting there like listening to Alanis Morissette's new record and like responding to people. And your
Oh,
new song, Freeze, your new song is so good.
thank you.
The first time that I heard that song was uh at Rod Taylor's house.
No way.
Yeah.
I
Do you
performed it.
remember that? We
Yeah, we
went to
well
Rod Taylor's
performed in
and
Fairview.
yeah. And it was like from that moment it was like this is an amazing song, and I'm so glad that it is now in the world.
That's cool.
Awesome.
You know what I wrote it for? Or for
No.
Steve Taylor's songwriting class.
Really? That's
Yeah,
great.
which I mean, just to briefly mention, when you're talking about Dream War, it kind of, the reason the song worked was because I wrote it not thinking I would do anything with it. You know,
Yeah.
I had to write a song, and I was like, let's just have some fun. Let's just do it in E and just be like, nah, 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 nah. And
Yeah,
I
the
just like
hook
record it
is
on
so
my phone, and I
good.
was just like, it's just fun. And then that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah.
just having that weight off your shoulders. But so it's really cool to hear your genesis, and I hope that artists listening to this, creatives, can just like think about that a little bit. How sometimes maybe creating a safe space for yourself to create, however you can do that, um, can sometimes lead to your most special work.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, all that is aside from, you were talking about how people, you've been getting a chance to like respond to a lot of messages. That's gotta be
Yeah.
so encouraging. You've worked on
It
this for
really
so
is.
long. This project.
Yeah. Yeah. It I'm really glad for people like letting me know how I mean there are some people really know how to like put words to what they
Yeah.
mean in the sweetest way, and
Yeah.
um I like appreciate that so much when somebody like takes the time to say like how much this meant to them, because that is like that's the reason for me putting all of this work into it, is for it to be meaningful to somebody. And so anytime that I get to hear that from someone is like
Wow. Yeah.
it's just like confirmation that yeah, this is, it's good that you did this. And
It is so good you
so
did this.
so yeah, I'm really grateful for
Thank you for making this record. For real. And I agree. There are
man.
some people just know how to encourage you. And
Yeah.
it's been a great day for me because I get so hard on myself, and I forget that people like my music. And I know that sounds silly, but I get to where it's like I know that people kind of like it, but I start to think that they only kind of like it. I'm like, yeah, well, they met me at a show and I'm their friend and they listened to it a few times. And people are like, yo, that's a great song. Like that, thank you. Like, I'm like, cool. Like for real. Like that actually means the world to me. And I don't know how to explain it to people, but it really does mean so much, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
for sure. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I'm
Hey,
really
when
what?
is I haven't ever asked you this. Is this all are these singles leading up to a big drop?
Um, so I don't know. I go back and forth. So I will say this is the last one. This is done five singles and a Christmas one floating over here.
I love the
Uh,
Christmas one.
thank you. I did Wisteria first time, Dolphin, Hey Gigi, and a fight song. And I am recording more songs to tape with a similar process, a little bit differently. We're trying some new stuff. And those songs are kind of going down the conveyor belt too. So I have more songs. At first I was like, maybe these five are an EP and then these next five are a new EP. I was like, no, all 10 of these are an album. And then I'm like, no, they're all just singles. So I just don't know. I go back and forth. I don't know. It's just weird because
Yeah.
I'm writing. I've totally embraced this like 60s pop format of like early 60s and like 50s really like
Mhm.
of just putting out singles. And if I make an album, it will just be a bunch of singles. You know, it'll be an album of hits. You know what I mean? Hits
Mhm.
like just songs that on their own were I was putting into the world and hoping people would enjoy.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter, I guess, to me right now because it's not cohesive. It's just little blips of music. Um, I like albums. I think so. I mean, I think that maybe eventually, whether it's 10 songs or maybe 2 years from now, I'll be 23 singles in, and I'll be like, all right, that's the album. Here it is. You know, and like, I mean, that'd be sick. And if by then I had more of a following and I could release the whole thing to vinyl, you know, that'd be cool.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
there's definitely something cohesive to them. But at the same time, they're all just on their own. So I don't know. I really don't know. Um,
Cool.
which I'm glad you asked me that. Is a good because I want to turn it on you because Isaac told me, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier today that you we were talking about at the very beginning. You're already working on something new. You're making songs. You're
Yeah.
making songs. That sounds like what I just said, right? It's more like that. Like you're not working on a big piece. You're working on like making. Is it? I heard, was it love songs, or happy
Yes.
songs, or it was
Sweet
something.
songs.
Sweet songs. That's right. What does that
Yeah.
mean? Can we know?
I mean,
We want to know.
they're like, yeah, about they're mostly, I mean, I'm writing them about Isaac. Um, yeah. I know. So,
This is gonna be fun. Oh wow,
yeah.
you're writing sweet songs about Isaac.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
I'm working on two projects right now. One of them is sweet songs about Isaac, and one of them is songs of waiting and sadness. So,
really?
it's it's nice to have the balance to not be like too focused on one of those projects at a time.
Yeah. Sweet songs
Um,
about Isaac, and then stupid songs about my dad. I'm just kidding. No, that's cool. Do you feel are they so they're pretty separate ideas? Like you genuinely like, oh, I'm definitely writing for one or the other. There's no
yeah,
these could never go together.
they won't go together.
Yeah.
They'll I my guess is that that there'll be like two EPs. I'm focusing on the sweet ones. It's just a
Cool.
lot easier to write. It's much more natural to write the sad. If I'm just like going to the piano to like get something out of my system, it's the songs of waiting and sadness.
Yeah, yeah.
And but when I'm like, I'm going to go work on, so I'm gonna go write, then it's like I'm gonna write a love song,
Cool.
which is really tough for me. It's to like complete. It's tough to complete a love song. I don't know why.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It really, no, it really is. I totally agree. Well, I think it's tough to complete any song.
Yeah.
I, yeah, but it is. It's hard. Sometimes it's hard to write happy songs or sweet songs at all. Cause like, Grant and I talked about this a little bit. You kind of like when you first start writing, it's easier to write dark songs. And it's not to say that like there's, I don't know. That's just how we both felt. Like,
Yeah.
I found it easier at first. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to write happy songs because I was like afraid people would be like, "Oh, that's cute," and I was like, "No, I want to write like I'm serious." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that's what Dream War is, but that's you being like, "I'm serious." But Ella's statement to the world: "Take me serious." Um, but you know, yeah, it can be a different thing, and I think it's cool you're doing that. I mean, that's a lot different than Dream War. Is that part
Yeah.
of what takes you to it? Like you've been so deep in this immersive world, and now you're like in a different world.
Yeah, I want to break personally from
Yeah,
writing really difficult songs, and yeah, and I really think it will be nice to like it is a nice headspace to be in, like to be writing about a person that you really care about, and like in writing a love song, you
nice.
kind of like you are just like struck with new ways of thinking about them, and like
Yeah,
you remember things about them, and you realize things about them that are so cool and that you really um appreciate. And so it's a sweet, i like I like this writing process a lot. It's a good headspace, I guess, to
yeah.
be in.
You
So
make marriage sound fun.
it is fun.
Yeah, it sounds
It
fun. You get to
is
write
fun.
songs about your lover.
And make movies together. Isaac and I right now are making
Oh my
stop motion
goodness.
animation lyric videos. It's our new project, and we're all in. We got a camera. we
Yeah,
yeah.
you'll just release the first one.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
so excited about it.
how long did
It's
it? How many frames is it? Do you remember?
5,000 images.
Y'all, 5,000 images Ella is made and is making more of these things, and they're genuinely incredible. The first one is for what song is it by the OK Wild?
Spring Wake.
Yeah, Spring: Wake. That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Which is kind of Isaac's dream more
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
he made it.
it's a concept piece.
It's a concept piece he made for school. Like he started
Yeah,
for a
true.
class, and then he has
And performed at his senior recital. That's great.
wow. You got done quicker than him because he graduated a year or two before you, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember being on tour with You're Kidding Wild, and they were performing that for the first time. It was really exciting. They would be like, him and Lincoln would be like, we're going to do some songs like this, like piece we've been working on. Depending on how receptive the crowd was, I think they might even like call it on the fly. They would like go through the whole thing or pieces of it, you know. That's so special. And so you're gonna do
Yeah.
all four songs, right? There's four, and you're gonna make a
Yeah.
movie for all of them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
And those we're doing with the black with chalk and the chalkboard. But we have all these ideas for other lyric videos. Like we'll do some for my music, and then for some other friends who want lyric videos, we're gonna do like stuff on windows and like with window paint, and we're gonna do like ink and paint, and I'm so excited to like figure out how to make
Yeah,
these videos with other mediums. It's gonna be really fun.
that isn't that gonna be too much work. You're not gonna be like,
Oh, it's gonna be too much work, but right now we're not playing shows.
that's true. Well, what about the Kickstarter? Is that still taking up time, or is that done? Are you
No,
like making physicals now and stuff?
I have a lot to do still for the Kickstarter. I have a lot of painting to do. I'm supposed to paint a song. I'm supposed to paint a piece for every song.
For whom? For everyone?
No, for I guess I don't have to do one for every song. That was just my vision for the lyric book, to have
Yeah.
a painting for each song, and then
Oh,
like
the lyrics were.
one of the reward levels was like an art print.
Well,
For
I don't mean to overwhelm you by talking about it. I hope I did
oh
a
no,
Kickstarter once, and
it's over.
the part after you've made the album and you're doing the Kickstarter is pretty tough. It's a lot of work, and it's not really work that I enjoy always. Like sending
Yeah,
packages is kind of exhausting. But you're also going to be creating a lot of cool stuff and sending the people who really care. So I don't mean to minimize it in that sense. I'm sure a lot of them are watching, and like it is really special. It's just that process can be a little heavy. At least
yeah,
it was for me. And so I hope that you feel encouraged by that, and you can just remember how special and how excited everyone is to receive everything you're sending them, as well as continue to make new music, making art for these Arcadia Wild videos is so cool. Please, everybody, um, listen to Dream More. First and foremost, please do it. And then watch this music video. Watch Spring Colon Wake, the Arcadian Wild, just to see how talented Ella is as a artist, as a visual artist. Ella, I have a question for you. So, you and I, went to Vermont together with Charlie Peacock. Charlie was hosting this kind of community, like what was like a songwriter festival, is what it was.
yeah.
Where who was there? Scott Mulvihill, the
Brooke
Stellas,
Wagner, the
Brooke Wagner.
Stellas. Oh, her.
Her was there. Who? Yeah, I played a show with her, which is sick. I literally put that on my. I have that on my like cool like just like bands I've played with. Yeah, her is on there. Which is from that Swagger and Sam Ashworth. A lot of
Yeah,
really cool people. The Castros,
yeah,
who are so cool.
yeah.
Um, anyway, we, the interns, got a chance to write a song, and you, I, and Walker Robinson worked on a song together. Do you remember this? What?
This is all. It's all coming back to me right now.
We
We
worked
wrote a
on.
song. We were working on a song called "Bridge Underwater."
Hmm.
What?
Yes. Bridge under. Bridge underwater.
That was like that was not. I forgot.
We
That
never
was so
finished
far
it.
back in my memory.
We didn't even come close to finishing it because we had like four. It was like it's one of those overly ambitious co-writes where you're like, oh, so this theme's happening and these
We had
characters
so
match
many
together,
ideas.
and
Yeah,
it just crumbled in our 3 hours or whatever. But
yeah,
that was your idea.
yeah. It was from my notebook.
Hmm. So we gave it a shot. We gave it a shot together. I just thought that was cool. Our
That's so fun because
when I
now I
heard
have a
Bridge
song called
Underwater,
"Bridge
mhm.
Underwater."
When I heard it, when you performed at Hutchmere, I believe, but for sure a few nights ago, I just remember I was like, bridge underwater. I've never forgotten that idea of a bridge underwater and what that could mean.
That
We
is
talked about
so
it for a long
funny.
time, and so
Yeah,
I wanted to mention that to you. I just thought that was really cool.
that is so funny. We
Yeah,
had like you and I had really different ideas about what it should be. I think
that sounds
about what
about
the
right.
bridge
That sounds
underwater
about right.
means. You know, like that like as an image, like we thought really different things about it.
I will be more enjoyable to be around when we write more songs together. Have mercy on me. I'm sure I was. I cannot imagine.
Oh, I was probably terrible to try to write with because I
I
was
was
like, no,
probably
it
terrible to
means
write with.
this.
Just all my artist like, oh, that's probably like my ego is probably inflamed. I was like, oh, it has to be perfect. Um, I'm embarrassed thinking about it, but
I remember a line that you wrote for that.
really,
It, I know, I can only think of two out of the three words. Sugar pop. Sugar pop is a phrase that I know that you like
whoa,
threw
that's
into the
cool.
writing of that song. I've always remembered that because I love.
Yeah,
It was like something about like on the radio, like it's
yeah.
like the
Okay.
radio is
You
playing
know,
sugar
I've still
pop.
got the notebook, so I think so. We can
Wow.
find it. I also want to mention from that week that we were in Vermont together, which was one of the most special weeks. I we could talk for an hour just on how cool it was to be in the Ottaquechee farm in Vermont with all these amazing songwriters, and we're just there serving food and drinks, and Jack was there and Benjamin was there, and it was just a lot of our friends were in. It was so the Daves. It was so special. CL, wow.
CEO.
I feel like we grew so much just that week, and grew together. And I got one of my favorite books. We got here
From Mako.
Mm-hmm.
Mako Fujimura.
Yeah, Mako Fujimura. Culture Care, a book that I would recommend to anybody who is listening to this. It's just a really, really cool book that shaped the way I thought about culture and art. So cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think I stole like 6 copies.
Yeah.
And like afterwards, I kept with all my friends like, "Hey, you still have Culture Care?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Did you ever read it?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Can I have it?" And then I would just indoctrinate people with it. I'll be talking to them and say, it reminds me of this thing that I learned. Actually, just take this book. I gave one copy to a girl I liked, and I never got it back. And it had all of my underlinings. So,
oh
no. I need to contact her. I need to get back.
I have to tell you something.
What?
That is related. I recently, like towards the beginning of quarantine, was on Dan Hasseltine, who's like the lead singer of Jars of Clay. He invited me to come onto this podcast called The American Awakening and play a couple songs. And so I was on like the Zoom thing during like this whole podcast, and somebody was on screen talking, and they had a poster on the wall behind them that was an Ottaquechee Farm poster. And I like commented like this messaging. I was like, I see that OQ Farm poster, like, and then somebody else responded and was like, "Oh, you know about OQ Farms?" I was like, "Yeah, I came with Charlie Peacock once as an intern." And then guess who shows up on the screen? But John Kingston.
Oh.
He's like the guy who runs this podcast, and I like flipped out. I was like, how just random. How random is that? Like all the people involved with this podcast are like the OQ team. They're like the Ottaquechee Farm people. It was crazy.
That is so cool.
So funny.
John Kingston. Yeah, he was like the guy. He showed up and he was wearing like a suit but with shorts, one of those like classic
he's so funny.
Suit shorts. And I remember people were like whispering around like he's running for president or something weird like that. I was like, what is this guy running for? And then I like met him and I was so nervous. And then I was trying to serve people food and drinks as quickly as I could. You. And I think he respected me, but I remember I was up on the hill having a bonfire and they were like, "Oh, we need more refreshments." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm on it." Cause like, this is my job. And so I ran and everybody was having a really good time. And I felt I remember feeling this intense responsibility. I sprinted down the hill and I get to this tent where all the food and drinks are. And I'm grabbing a bunch of stuff. Like my hair is everywhere. I'm just like looking around and he's just like sitting at a table with one of the persons. He's like, "Freeze, you okay?" And I was like, "Oh," and I just felt so silly. I was just like, ravenously going through all this stuff. And then I ran back up the hill. That was a really fun memory. Man, that was a really special time. I contacted them back in like November. I was like needed a place to stay in Vermont. And I was like, "Please, can we come for a day? Me and my band, can you house us? Because you have so much open room." But something didn't work out. But I really hope that they'll let me one day. I love that place. I want to go back. Maybe Charlie.
How cool would it be if we could go there and write?
That'd be so cool. That would
be awesome.
We should legit like try to make this happen. I would love to do a songwriting festival. Maybe we should put it in our own hands,
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. That is such a special thing. There's something else I wanted to mention, but I can't remember. I don't know. I feel like we're reaching towards the end of our session. Is there anything else you're thinking about or wanted to talk about?
Politics, religion, finance.
Yeah, whatever.
Just kidding.
I guess that's it for now. I really appreciate you coming on.
Oh
It's
man,
so
thanks
cool to
for
have you.
having me.
Episode 2. Who who should I have? Who else should I have on here? If you could name 2 or 3 people.
You're already having Jack Thompson?
Yeah, so you don't have to mention Jack.
Okay, well, honestly, Bryce
Bryce
Dubray.
Dubray.
Or, I mean, Future Crib. You should just have Future. Can you have a whole band on here, or are you
I
like
think so.
individual people?
I don't know. I
Future
guess I have
Crib
to
would
think
be
about that.
so fun. Vanastale would be so fun.
I got Devin.
Vanastale,
I got Devin coming
oh,
on.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
What a guy.
What a guy. We know so many cool people. We've had so many awesome memories together over just what feels like the brief time, but a really formative time, like 5 years
Yeah.
together. And I'm so glad you're in my life. I'm so excited to just, I hope that we are just around each other for the rest of our lives. And I just get to
Me
be,
too.
grow old next to you and Isaac and just watch y'all create and create. And I hope that I am creating too. And that I don't know. I can't wait for whatever else we get to do. So I love you. Thank you for being a part of
I
this.
love you. Thank you, Felice.
Everyone, please go check out Dream More. It's out now. You won't regret it. And we look forward to hearing your sweet songs and your, what do you call it? The other songs.
Songs of waiting and sadness.
Songs of waiting and sadness. I look forward to anything you do. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
And
Felice.
yeah, talk to you soon. Come on again sometime.
Cool. Sounds good. Bye.
Bye-bye.